Hi, YouTube. Welcome back to TXC Tells All. Today, I am so excited because we have a special guest, Sophia Swann of Real Estate Swan. She is a real estate mogul in New York, and she is going to give us some invaluable information about the things that you need to know when you're looking for your house or even before you start the home buying process. So I'm going to give her opportunity to introduce herself, tell you a little bit about her, what she does, and then we'll get right into it.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Tracey, for inviting me. So my name is Safiya Swan, like Tracey said, Real Estate Swan for those who know me really closely as a realtor. And I cover all of Westchester, the Bronx, and Connecticut. I've been doing real estate for over 12 years, and I absolutely love it. The reason why I do it is because I want to help people. I want to inspire, motivate, and educate absolutely everyone that I come into contact with and those who they know as well. So that's my purpose in life, is to help others.
That's awesome. So let's jump right into the questions and get some of this information out to the people who need it. So my first question is, if before you even start the home buying process, a lot of people jump right into it, but before you even start that, are there things that you should be doing first?
Yes, there are. So I will give you my top 3 things that I feel are the most important for buyers in today's market. Number one, you want to find the right agent, right? Someone like me who's knowledgeable, who you can trust, who is basically going to guide you through the entire process. Number two, you want to be able to pretty much ask your agent for a buyer's consultation. What that's going to do for you is pretty much take you through the entire buying process from A through Z. By the time you leave there, you're going to have that rapport with your agent, hopefully, if you choose to work with them. You're going to also have resources that you should be leaving with, right? So you should know who your attorney is going to be. You should have resources in regards to your inspector, in regards to appraiser, things of that nature, in order to prepare you for when you do get that accepted offer, that everything does go smoothly. And lastly, you just want, the agent is going to be asking you, hopefully, all of your needs and wants. So you're going to do a needs assessment. And once you do that, once we start shopping, it should be a nice, smooth journey because you already had that nice conversation about everything that you want, the realities of the market. It should go really nice and smoothly. Last but not least, we want to get what? Pre-approved. So I should have said that number one, right? So you want to speak to a mortgage lender. You want to actually go over your credit score. You want to go over your actual credit history and your income, your overall finances. And they'll be able to give you a pre-approval and tell you that you are pre-approved for X amount of money. With that piece of paper, that's your purchasing power. We can go out and we can start shopping for that brand new home.
Awesome, great tips. So already we've gotten 3 tips that you should do before you even start looking for the house.
Exactly.
So my second question is, you're shopping now, you're at that point, you see a beautiful home, it meets all of your needs and wants, but it's outside of your budget. It's over what you intended to spend. What should you do next?
Well, let's see. This happens a lot, right? Because sometimes we have champagne tastes, and and we should definitely stay within our budget. So one of the most important things at the buyer's consultation, like I said, we're going over your needs and wants, and we're also looking at properties in that buyer's consultation to show you what fits your budget. So we have a reality check as well. Like if you are pre-approved for 500, I'm not showing you anything for 600. However, what I might do is show you something for 510 or 520 because I always tell my clients everything is negotiable. So I always put that out there. The second thing that we can do is actually go back to your mortgage lender and have a discussion and see what other options you have. Can you get a seller's concession? Can you put down more money so that your mortgage payment is going to be decreased? It really does depend on the individual, couple or individual who's purchasing the home in regards to how we move forward with that.
Okay, that makes sense. So there are some options available.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so what should a buyer take into an account when coming up with their opening bid on a home that they're interested in?
That's a great question. So I always want to get my buyers prepared for putting in a bid, right? And the number one thing that I tell them to do, especially in today's market, is put your best foot forward. Today's market, you're seeing more and more and more. You're seeing multiple bids. You're seeing people not getting the houses of their dreams. And that's because they want a lowball or because they feel as though they could get a discount. In today's market, you can't do that. You won't find a house that way, okay? So the number one thing that you want to do is put your best foot forward. And I always say, you know, you might have to consider coming in at asking or over asking in order to get the property, okay? And things do change, the market changes, but right now, because it's so aggressive, definitely you have to be in that mindset in order to get the property that you want. Secondly, you want to look really good. I'm going to make sure you look really good on paper, okay? So we want to make sure the terms are good. We want to make sure that attorney information is there. We want to make sure that everything is accurate in regards to the type of mortgage you're getting. Are you getting conventional, VA, FHA? Or do you have all your contingencies in place? Do you want to do a contingency on the mortgage, on the inspection, appraisal, or on the clear title? Or do you want to, you know, if the house needs fixing up, maybe you just want to waive the inspection because you know that you're going to totally gut it out and remodel the home. So those are two things that I would do, making sure we look good on paper, and then also putting your best foot forward so that we can get the home.
Okay. Next question is, and this is a big one because I definitely thought this when I was purchasing a home, and most people do you have to put 20% down when purchasing a home? Biggest
Misconception. So let me demythify it for you. I made up that word, but I think it's a word. So basically, no, you don't have to put down 20%. I've spoken to numerous mortgage lenders. I've confirmed it over and over again. So let me clarify. So the number 20% really comes into play when you're looking at an investment property, right? Anything 5 units or up. But if you're looking at a multi-family dwelling, 4 units or down, or a single family home, co-op condo, you can put as low as 3.5% down, okay? Again, it does matter what you're qualified for, and that's why we need that pre-approval, and that's why we also have a conversation with your mortgage lender. But it depends on all the factors, the credit score and absolutely everything else, right? So, but you can put as low as 3.5%. I know that there are some programs, conventional loans, that you can actually put down 3.5%. So don't get scared. And a lot of people ask me about first-time home buyers programs. There are some, but again, 3.5% is the lowest.
Okay. That's definitely helpful because I think so many people just take themselves out of the game because they don't have that 20%. So they say,
totally.
Oh, yeah, it's for me, but it's not true. And that's really good information.
I get that all the time. And let me just also say this, which is a good tidbit as well, is that let's say that you're in a home, you currently own a home, and you want to purchase another home. I see a lot of people who do not want to purchase that other home because they feel like they have to have the 20%. Again, if you own a home and you're moving to another primary residence, you can put down 3.5 on this other property. Just as long as you're not going from an FHA to FHA or conventional to conventional, you can put down 3.5%.
Okay, great information.
Yeah, and I am not a mortgage professional, but this is my professional advice as a realtor.
Okay, got it. All right, so next question is, what are closing costs and how much would a buyer need to put aside for that?
Fantastic question, because I always get buyers, let's just say that have a certain amount of money that they've saved up. Let's say it's $30,000 and they feel as though that $30,000 can cover them for their deposit as well as their closing costs. Sometimes some people don't even know about closing costs. They just think it's the deposit. So one of the things that I do is I sit down and I'm so good with my mortgage calculator and I can give you estimates, right? So if the house is $500,000, I always suggest that you have at least 5% for your closing costs. Okay, so that's what, $25,000, correct? Correct. And then if you're putting 3.5% down, or if you're putting 5% down for your deposit, that's a totally separate cost. Okay. It's very, very important to know that. Just as we're looking at properties, I literally will explain that to you for each property that you're looking to put a bid on so that you're fully aware of how much money you need in every scenario.
Okay, yep. Important to know how much money you need in the pot, because I think so often people just look at the purchase price and say, hey, that seems like it's in our budget, but like you're explaining, closing costs is another thing that you need to take into account.
Exactly. And what's included in those closing costs is basically your attorney's fees, your mortgage application fee, loan origination fees. I mean, there's a long list, right? And you'll definitely see absolutely everything itemized in your closing statement. But just so that you know, everything is going to something that's important, your property taxes, things of that nature. So again, 5% is being very, conservative, and it's usually around that number.
All right, so my next question is, what are the top 3 things that you would say surprises people the most about the home buying process?
Oh, fantastic question. So one of the things is I get a lot of buyers and immediately they're like, okay, so when do I pay you? Or how do you get paid? And this is a misconception, right? So honestly, buyers agents get paid from the seller. Okay, so a seller pays out the commission and it's literally split with the buyer's agent if a buyer's agent brings a buyer to the table. So that is a misconception. There are very few cases in which if the seller does not pay out a high enough or a standard commission, that I may have to sit down with my buyer and say, listen, he's only, dishing out 1%. Would you mind paying the other 1% so that it could be a standard 2%? Does that make sense? And every agent is different. So don't quote me on the 2%. Some people's standard is 2.5 or 3. So it really does depend on the agent. Okay. Another thing is the loan process, right? So people don't understand how intense that can actually be. All right. So you as a buyer should have all your documentation ready and prepared for when you start your mortgage process. So once we get an accepted offer, once we do our inspection, and once we are in fully executed contract, that means that you have signed, the buyer, as well as the seller has signed, you have a fully executed contract. That means your mortgage lender has 30 days, and in some states it might be 40, in order to get you a commitment on your mortgage. Within 30 days, they need all that documentation, right? So, pay stubs, you need to sign documentation, e-sign it, absolutely everything. So I definitely have gotten so many concerns like, oh my God, this is so much. Da, 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 da. Yes, it is. It's a whole nother process. You have the home buying process and you have the mortgage process as well. And then last but not least, how aggressive the market is. We don't make it up. Like, honestly, we're out here every single day. I show properties every single day. I'm selling homes every single day. And you really need to trust your agent when they are telling you or advising you through the home process. And that's why, again, the buyer's consultation is so important, because you need to gain that trust in the very beginning, and all expectations need to be laid out on the table.
Great. That really makes sense. I know, even to the last point, I will tell a little story about surprises. I didn't have a buyer's consultation when we were purchasing our first home, and hearing everything that you're saying, I wish I did, because when we found the home that we loved and we were ready to go ahead and put a bid in on that, working with our real estate agent, we didn't really have that open line of communication. And when it came time to put our bid, she was advising us to put asking price, and the home had been on the market for over 90 days, and we just didn't think that was in our best interest. We wanted to go lower and see if we could get a better deal on the house, and she really pushed us not to do that. Thank God we didn't listen, because we actually got the house for about $8,000 less than the asking price, but we think we could have even got it for less. But saying all that, we didn't have a buyer's consultation, and we didn't have that open line of communication with our agent, like you're describing, you have with your clients. And so we had the fear that our agent didn't have our best interest at heart. So if you heard that from someone, what would be your advice to them?
You know what? This is such a good question because I know buyers have a lot of fear. Number one, you are making, as a buyer, as a new home buyer, you are making a huge, one of the biggest investments of your life that's going to last 30 years, right? So you are going to have fears and anxiety, and especially if you don't know what's going on. And that's why it's so important to be knowledgeable, get an agent that is knowledgeable on the market and the home buying process. But in regards to that, your agent should be acting in your best interest at all times. I actually have a New York State disclosure that we utilize in New York, and it basically describes what a buyer's agent's responsibility is. So I'm just going to read really briefly. A buyer's agent is an agent who is engaged by a buyer to represent the buyer's interests. The buyer's agent does this by negotiating the purchase of a home at a price and on terms acceptable to the buyer. A buyer's agent has, without limitations, the following fiduciary duties to the buyer: reasonable care, undivided loyalty, confidentiality, full disclosure, obedience, and duty to account, right? So I always, this is not a contract, but I always highlight and give this to my buyers so they can understand what my role is and also what I'm providing, right? As a service, I should be working in your best interest. I shouldn't be telling you to put a higher bid if it's not in your best interest. I should just definitely be guiding you through that process so that you can make a great decision. I'm happy you got the home though.
We are happy with the home, but in hearing that, I wish that we would have had that line of communication. I think we might have been able to get an even better deal. And, it's already a stressful process. So, you want your agent to be communicating with you in that way and telling you those things so that some of the fears that you have can be, can go away, and you can just focus on getting the house that you want at the price that you want. So that's really important information.
Sometimes we cannot, we cannot ease the mind of the buyer. Sometimes, for example, as a real estate agent, I had a buyer tell me, they didn't get the house that they wanted and they thought I was trying to buy the house. So sometimes things happen. I mean, I'm just working, but they thought I was trying to buy their house. And, that relationship, literally, I always tell my buyers, if you're not comfortable with me as an agent, you definitely, we have a conversation, we try to make things work. But if you're not comfortable, you definitely should not be working with that agent. And in your case, that was unethical and, unacceptable behavior.
Right. Well, Sophia, you have given us a wealth of information. Thank you so much for being on TXC Tells All. If you are in the New York area and you need to get in touch with Sophia, I want to definitely give her the opportunity to tell you how you can do that, what are the best ways to reach her, because she is a real estate mogul. She is great in her industry. And if you need somebody that's knowledgeable, you need to contact her if you're in her area. We'll also put her information in the description box below. But Sophia, how can buyers or potential buyers or even sellers, because I know you do that side too, contact you if they need you?
So, of course, my email address is Sophia Swann at kw.com. And my name is like Sophia Loren, but it's spelled a little bit differently. It's S-A, F as in Frank, I-Y-A, and Swan like the bird, S-W-A-N. And also my, Facebook account is Sophia Swann at Facebook. I also have an Instagram account, Sophia Swann as well. And my phone number, the most important thing, 914-512-7764.
Great. Thank you so much for being on TXC Tells All. And hopefully we can have you back on again. You have a wealth of information and we would love to pick your brain, maybe on a different side, on the seller side next time.
Absolutely. I'm here.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.